Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Spawncast episode 398. Got a pretty good show tonight. We are missing a couple people. Celia's here, but Josie said that she's dealing with some class stuff, so she might pop in randomly later as we're going along.
She ain't coming. Come on.
Hey, it could happen. Now, I wanted to see what she said about Donkey Kong since she played through it. So I assume it's the same as the Wii, but there could be some differences in there. No, let me go over it though, since we have a couple people here. We got Celia. Celia's with us tonight.
Hey, happy Friday.
Good to have Celia here. We got Sean, RGT.
Hello.
Firing up podcasts all over the place too.
Well,
Podcast last night. Was it? I looked. It's like Sean started streaming at 11 o'clock at night. I'm like, what in the world?
Well, because Brett has kids and he lives in Central Time, so he's not available till 10 his time, which is 11 our time. I'm just like, whatever.
I feel like there's an opening for that, for the late night podcast.
I mean, it's all going to be archived on the channel, so it's not like you're missing anything if you want to listen to it back. And he's putting it on audio formats and shit like that.
So if you're on like the West Coast, that's like 8. That's prime time viewing right there, 8 p.m.
I mean, there was a couple hundred people, and there's 300 people watching.
All right, good stuff. Then we have Evan. Evan's with us as well.
Yep.
All right, so I will say Nate is going to. we were playing Split. Hey, we were playing Splatoon 3 earlier. I think we're gonna play Mario Kart soon. They one kid's like really getting into Splatoon now. He's getting old enough to actually be able to figure out the dual analog stick setup. It's complicated. Even for adults now, you hand them the dual analog setup, they're confused if they never used it before. So he's getting there. The motor functions are coming in. We have Direct Xbox tonight as well. Nate will be breaking his silence after everything that's happened. So
coming out of retirement.
Yeah, he's back. He's gonna be on tonight. That starts at 9:30 p.m. So there'll be I guess technically a brief break from after this podcast ends for that firing up with Nate. So we'll see what he has to say, but he might do his. I don't know. I think he has entrance music or something. We'll see how that goes. But that's fine. That's fine. So I did want to, I do want to start with my thoughts on Assassin's Creed Shadows very quickly. But we did have the Xbox Developer Direct this week. We had some mailbag questions about that, as well as some stuff around the Switch 2 with the potential price. And I did throw in there the whole discussion around game prices going up, because it has been like nonstop online. For people have been discussing this constantly, the idea of games potentially going up to $100. So, and Sean said in his video he could talk about this all day.
I could.
I said, you know what? It's in there. It's in there. That's how it's going to go. That's how it's going to go. Still look at that. WX. Nate's Galaxy S5. Tell Nate to trade me in a Verizon. I'm dying.
Can we just leave that up for the whole?
That guy he's made that phone last. I can't believe it. I really can't. Is still going. When did that phone come out? Like 8 years ago or something? Was that around? What came out first? The Switch or the S5?
Probably the S5.
I think so. Yeah.
Let me see.
I mean, the Switch 8 years old almost now. Actually, in a couple weeks, be 8 years old. All right, let's let me. I'm gonna
that motherfucker came out in 2014.
Oh my gosh, it was 2014.
Yes.
Oh my god, it's 11.
11 years old. Wow. I can't believe that thing's still supported. That's the thing that shocks me. I feel like they would have been like, he just turns his phone on one day. It's like, nah, you got to get something else, dude. This is done.
I mean, I feel like if he installs an app on it, it'll probably light on fire.
How does 5G work on that phone? Or it doesn't?
You and your 5G, so posh.
Yeah.
It's probably like, I don't know, was 5G? It's probably like older 5G, maybe. I don't know. That's what I mean. Eventually, I feel like the thing would just give out and he has to get a new one. I mean, at that point, any upgrade would be massive for him. He'd get like an S8 or something and it'd feel like, incredible. Yeah. And really, it's still cheap. So maybe he set himself up for that nice frugal upgrade path.
I need to upgrade my phone.
I ended up grabbing the iPhone and it's been okay. It's not.
Oh no, I'll be doing another Android.
Yeah, I
Same.
was between the two. I was like, I'll check the iPhone out. I'm just curious.
How do you like it?
That's how they get you.
It's all right. I just got the right. I didn't go for like the Pro or anything. I just got the iPhone. What is it on now? 16 or something. The only thing I miss about the Android phone is like that bottom row of buttons. It has like the back, the home, or like the switch between applications. It's all like motion based with the iPhone, and it's just. I don't think I'm gonna have it long enough to get used to it because I'll probably end up going back to Android after this. So.
Yeah, my work phone's an iPhone, and I've been an Android user since like the beginning, since Androids came out. And I get like boomer mad at the iPhone when I don't know how to do something. So yeah, I tend to stick with Android.
That's the only thing is I at times I feel like I'm old because I'm like, how do I do this? How do I do this basic function from Android on here?
Right? Yeah, I get so frustrated.
But BlackBerry Curve, dude, that's taking it back. The old like BlackBerry phones when they came out with the one that was like it was kind of like the touch, but you'd press it and it gave you like feedback. What was that called?
You need the N gauge.
The N gauge, yeah.
You can play Elder Scrolls, Tony Hawk, and make a phone call on it.
I mean, you can kind of play
them. They released for it.
It was an experience. We'll say that it wasn't. It was something. It was something. So thoughts on Assassin's Creed Shadows? I played a couple hours of it.
Here we go.
Sean was trying to
get his brownie points. Go ahead.
He was on to me with this, and I was just so they flew some people out on location. I played through, I don't know, Cloud, Google Cloud, Amazon Cloud, something. I played through something, and it was just remote stream, and they actually used like the Ubisoft app for it, but it's all remote, so they go through it that way. And which means my image quality wasn't the greatest, but then I see the footage they send me where they recorded it locally, and it looked way better. So the game itself does look really, really impressive. And it's about 3 hours or so with this game. The first initial introduction part where they kind of introduce characters through their own little series of events, cutscenes, then jumped forward. So I have no idea how they met. Nothing like that. But they jumped me forward to where I'm level 25. So I assume that was, I don't know, like probably 10 or 15 hours into the game. And you get to play as Yasuke and Naoe. And you could choose who you want to play as pretty much the whole way. So after the initial cutscenes, you just start playing as, which I think I have. Here we go. Yeah, so this is Yasuke's combat, which people were asking about the combat for them. They play very differently. So Yasuke doesn't have a lot of the acrobatics or the movement that Naoe has. He is legitimately a tank. And he's like super clumsy, everything. So if you get up on top of a building, you try to jump off into the haystacks, he just slips and falls and lands in them. So he's not really a climber, which threw me off a bit. Whereas Naoe here is much, much faster, agile, able to climb, has a grappling hook, is the assassin of the game. So if you want to play like Assassin's Creed, you play as Naoe. If you want to play, I don't know, I guess kind of Ghost Tsushima-ish, I guess, sort of like the combat there. It's like that. And what I learned very quickly is because we didn't get to know any of the functions or abilities or weapons, that I mostly was able to just mash buttons my way through as Yasuke to get through the game or the portion they had. But then I looked in for the skill tree. So they still have like the synchronization and stuff, which again looks really good. But they have skill trees, which I could probably jump forward and find it. I think I cut that part up. Yeah. So they do have skill trees and stuff, which again, I didn't have a lot of time. I didn't think to go through all of it. So you do level up, you get points for it. And it seems like they have a lot going on. And then the weapons all have rarities, which they gave us great weapons. But as I'm going through the game, I realized very quickly that you're not really able to do a lot with Yasuke when it comes to exploration in the world. So when I climb that big tower there as Naoe to get the synchronization, you can't do that as Yasuke. You have to change to her to then get up top to do that. So you can't really play the entire game as you can't really play the entire game as like as Yasuke, but I feel like you could play the whole game as Naoe. But the biggest takeaway for me is that the world actually looks legitimate. Like it looks really good. A lot of the grass, the leaves, as wildlife, tree, everything just kind of flows and moves on its own. And that was something that I remember stuck out to me for Ghost of Tsushima, is the world looked very, very alive, and it always looked almost like a painting in motion. Kind of similar here with that. So I do like that. The destructible environments, by the way, Sean, you can pretty much wreck everything around you. If you're in the market and you start swinging and bashing at stuff, like things just go flying. Apples, oranges, fruits, just like big wagons that are hauling the stuff around will start crumbling. I was inside. Let me see if I can find it. Here we go. I was inside this tower as I was going through as Yasuke, and you could just chop down the walls because they're all paper. So you just kind of bash your way through stuff if you want. Because he's very he's pretty much in their face pretty much with his attacks. And if a door is locked, I know I had one up here. So if a door is locked like this, like I found this door is locked, I realized I can just run through it. So you run up to it, you go, okay, it's barred from the other side, and he could just run and bash right through it.
It's not a very good locking mechanism.
No. So he's bigger than all the enemies mostly and all the people around him. And he pretty much just runs through and destroys them. You do have abilities that look really cool. So it does that thing which I think I do it here, where it turns everything black and white, but then all the blood spray is like red, which looked really cool. Like that. So they have some fun abilities like that look really cool again in motion. But for the most part, I think I would play through the game. I think I'd play through it as Naue.
Oh, here we go with the racism.
I wasn't, but I'm going into an Assassin's Creed game looking to play as an assassin, and it was just more interesting to kind of go through and try to sneak around as her. She has a lot of gadgets too, smoke bombs, ways to distract enemies, and it felt like it was much more interesting to play as her than Yasuke, which basically every time I went into an encampment, I just walked up and murdered someone immediately, and then everyone just rushed to me and I attacked them. And that was kind of the same sort of thing. But his story is more interesting than Naue's. So that's kind of the issue for me. So I'm interested to play more of it. Like I said, I played about 3 hours, and for Assassin's Creed like that, it's not enough to really get a good handle on the entire game. So I liked what I played. I thought it was fun, but this game is going to probably be a 40-50 hour game for most people just to play through the main story. So
you think that's too long?
I thought Valhalla was too long. I tapped out of that game after 40 hours. And it's like it felt like it kept going just for the sake of having a long game. I didn't feel like it had to be that long. And then I think MVG was like randomly in passing. Oh yeah, it took me like 80 something hours to beat the game. I was like, oh my gosh, I was halfway done it. Really?
Yeah, I think he did say that.
It's like that one didn't grab me as much as I think this one in feudal Japan would. So maybe that's what it was too. Like the Viking stuff wasn't as interesting to me as this. So
I have a question about the game. So I did not preview it, and I've avoided a lot of spoilers for the game. But I'm curious, did they announce whether which storyline is going to be like the canon? Because I heard that they're doing a canon mode, but how does that work with the game? Do you know, or they haven't revealed that yet?
They do have a canon mode that apparently makes a lot of the choices for you. So the way it works in the game, which I think that's the last frame I actually had. But the way it works in the game is you get to pivotal moments in the story you're going through at that time. And then it asks you, it says, hey, who do you want to play as? And you just stop and choose. And it's kind of done in the sense of like, it zooms in, it's like a cut scene. So it looks kind of like, here we go. It looks like this. So this is the scene here. And it comes up like that. And it's like, who do you want to play as? You want to play as Yasuke or you want to play as Naue? And it did that. I think I saw the screen 7 or 8 times in my play. So it would just stop and be like, do you want to play as Naue or Yasuke? Who do you want to use? So
who'd you pick?
I kept going between the two of them, so I get footage of both. But I will say, I had more fun playing as Naue because I felt like the scenario was more interesting and she got around a lot easier. Like she could jump up higher on buildings and kind of traverse better.
There's a joke in there, but I'll leave it there.
Okay, next question. So I'm just gonna be asking questions. This will be my last one. So since you can switch between them, can you change at any time, or is it for this mission you've selected now, then you only play as her, or like how does that work?
So for the mission, the story beat, you do just play as them, but then when it ends, it might give you the choice again. Or if you go into the open world, it's kind of like you play Spider-Man 2, where you go to the menu, and then you hit a button, press and hold it, and then it'll immediately jump you over to the next person. So you can you can jump between them on the fly when you're just in the open world.
Okay, that's cool. Okay, cool.
They also have, I didn't realize this, they have entire base building in this game. And I have no idea what that's going to be like. Yeah. So you build up your own base, an area, and you can collect like cats and stuff and put them in there. I saw that Celia. I was like, okay, yeah, the Sean's going to hate that Celia like that. But the idea then is you recruit people, and they can also help you in the world. So seems like there's a lot happening there.
When you say base building, do you mean like The Sims? Like literally, like you build the walls and...
Or is it Brotherhood where you just... okay.
Yeah, it's in the trailer they showed. They also showed it to us, and I'm like, I don't think I'm gonna have time to do that, guys. So I didn't get to do any of that. But it like zooms out, and you have like an entire building view of it. And you're like, okay, then put stuff here, and you can dress it up or build the structure how you want. Look kind of cool, but not really something I feel like I'll be doing. But I understand there are people who will probably be like building their own little area, hide out the whole thing. So
nice.
Seems like there's a lot there, and I think the build we played, people were talking about, was from November. So the more polished build, I guess, is at release. I'm not sure, but we'll find out. I think Sean will end up most likely playing it.
Yeah, I will. When does it come out?
March.
Okay.
2 months. Yeah, 2 months from now. So I think the way Ubisoft treated the preview event, I feel like they're also going to treat the early review release as well. I think a lot of people are going to get codes for this game in terms of just trying to get the word out for it. So
a lot of people got preview copies. The fucking previews all dropped at like the same time.
A lot of people were previewing this game. So, which, hey, I mean, at least they're pretty open. They're like, hey, we're going to scatter shot this, get this to a bunch of people, whether they like it or not, and we'll get the coverage out there. So I'll give them that. It wasn't heavily curated, is what I'll say. Like they didn't like go, oh, you can't preview this game, we're going to give a select few. It was a lot. It was.
Oh, is it the same day as Chronicles X?
I believe so, yes.
Oh, come on.
Yep.
Come on.
Yep.
That's
the same day it comes out, but in terms of like reviews and stuff, I assume codes will go out well before that. So for you, for example, Sean, if you get a copy from them early, there you go. You can play it before you play Chronicles X. So there you go. Look at it that way. But I will be playing it when it drops. So to see how it is. So Varang asks, any older titles in your backlog you guys plan on playing this year? You guys convinced me to play Shenmue now. I'm also playing through Shenmue right now.
Everyone should be playing through Shenmue right now.
It's a good version on the PS5.
I'm playing through Skies of Arcadia right now.
That was random when he said that. I was like, really? Skies of Arcadia? I mean, it's a good game. It's just
I love that game.
I haven't played it in a long time.
I've been wanting to play the Alice games. It was like, I think it was like on PS2 or 3.
No, which
PS3?
You said Alice?
Yeah.
I remember that PS3 360. Yeah.
Yeah, I was recommended to me, and I may or may not have a ROM for it, so I might be playing it soon.
I feel like wasn't that game in Game Pass, or am I thinking wrong?
Is it in Game Pass? Because I'll make
American McGee's, right?
Alice,
Bad
like on the front, with the bloody knife and stuff. I feel like
Madness Returns would be the new one, right? Did you already play American McGee's or?
I've never played an Alice game. It was just recommended to me, and I thought her fit looked good, so I was like, I'll play. Like literally, it's just like it's not that deep. I literally was like, oh yeah, okay, that sounds fun, and like my friend told me I'd like it, so.
I feel like EA Pass with Game Pass, they said. So if you have Game Pass Ultimate, then it's on there.
Oh, okay. I might. I'll find it.
Yeah. Medallion says, if the $100 games become the industry standard, this should witness the next video game crash. Oh, we'll talk about That'll probably be our last topic. That's one that'll go on for a little while, but we will talk about that medallion. So the Assassin's Creed Shadows thoughts. All right, I'm sure we'll be talking more about it in March when it comes out and embargoes lift. Let's go over to the Switch 2 pricing, bundles. This is all stuff that's kind of circulating right now. Pricing is weird. I keep seeing listings pop up, and these prices are all over the place. So I don't know if I would take any retail listings right now as like, oh, this is definitely it, because one of them was like $389. I'm like, who's okay? Yeah, that's gonna be the price.
Was that American?
No, it's just no. It was like
Gulf of America.
It was in a I'm trying to remember. It was in a currency where it then translated over to like 430 something. I'm like, okay, that doesn't sound right either.
Yeah.
But they keep popping up. But there was an interesting thing that was pointed out, because then people realized, so we have that next handheld person that kept posting up images of the Switch 2. And now we look at it and we go, okay, yeah, they had a Switch 2, because it even came down to that Nintendo logo that was in the Joy-Con rail that was actually there. So it seems like they were inside in a factory, or know somebody who was there at least. And they had mentioned that there would be a bundle of some kind that has a game with the number 9 in it. And then
Rusty's Real Deal Baseball 9. Let's fucking go, baby.
9th entry.
Excellent.
And Special Nick, or Sheshbal Nick, did say that the person who told him a June release is all but confirmed to be correct, then that could mean the pricing they gave me of $449 or $499 might be correct as well, and think the $50 extra is a Mario Kart bundle. So I hadn't really thought about the idea of a bundle or a game being included with the system, but I also didn't rule out the idea of a $450 price. So this is an interesting one with that, and next handheld mentioning the idea of Mario Kart being bundled in some capacity, which would also mean clearly Mario Kart would be a launch title. So the idea of Mario Kart in a bundle, does that make sense, or should Nintendo just keep it separate? $450 for the system, $70 for Mario Kart.
The latter. I don't think I mean, if it's a bundle, it could be a Wii U situation where it's based on storage capacity,
right?
Not necessarily having software included in it. I do have my Nintendo Switch 2 ready micro SD express card.
There it is.
256 gigs for $40 on SanDisk's website.
That's pretty good, right?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's a hell of a lot. If you remember the prices of SD cards from, when the Switch dropped, hell yeah. What was the 1 terabyte was like $400 and something dollars?
We didn't even have that. We had the 400 gigabyte. Do you remember this? It was $250 or something like that.
Yeah. Well, then when the 1 terabyte did come out, it was it was like $400. It
was crazy.
So these are already a hell of a lot more reasonable. Yeah, I don't know. I think you want to. I mean, although I guess you could technically do that. Maybe throw a skin on it or something. It just seems like I don't know. I'm not a huge fan of like multiple bundles at launch and stuff like that. I think you keep it simple, and then you can expand into bundles later on down the road.
The white Wii U and the black Wii U. Maybe they do like the black Switch 2 and the white Switch 2. Do a similar thing.
It always comes to black and white with you, John. It don't matter.
Yeah. It's Nintendo. Nintendo running that. Maybe it's like a white bundle with Mario Kart included.
Did you have why has it got to be the white bundle that comes with the game?
Because we've already seen that. I guess they could do it that way.
The black Wii U bundle, the black Wii U was superior to the white Wii U, John.
It's true. 32 gigabytes. Yeah. Came in Nintendo Land.
Mm-hmm.
Classic right there. Classic. No. See, which one would you get, Celia? Then would you go for? Let's say,
would you go for the black or the white, Celia? Choose wisely.
Well, it's whatever one I could get for free from a contest. So I'm not going to list someone to pick because beggars can't be choosers.
Actually, I didn't realize this, Celia. How you got to deal with that Switch 2 launch?
I don't know. I have to sign up for like all the Twitter contests. Yeah, I don't know. We'll see. I might just buy it at launch. It depends what the games are. Depends what that bundle could be. I don't know. Wait for Nintendo to announce.
Yeah,
Would
we
that-
are just talking about hypotheticals right now.
Yeah. Would that? But the thing is, interesting is that Nintendo would figure out a way to have a $500 system to sell. Then how hard would that price hit though? If they flash that up there and it's $499.9? That'd be kind of tough. That'd be kind of painful. I feel like a lot of people right now are thinking. I saw some say, "Oh, 300 makes sense. 350, 400." It's like everyone's like looking at 400 as the roof, and it's like, oh, we're off by $100 for a bundle. That would be tough.
I don't know. I mean, 300 is ridiculous. 350 isn't happening either. I'm still hopeful for 400 though. I mean, the way I view it is like, yes, you'll still sell at 450. You'll still sell at 500. But would you rather sell two things for 400 or one thing for 450? You know, like I feel, and that's a concept that a lot of companies don't seem to ever really pick up on, I guess, because there is that inherent risk, you know. Okay, well, what if you don't sell the 400 and then, you know, you're taking a loss or something like that? But I feel like, especially the position Nintendo is in right now financially, you know, I just feel like it would be better overall. You know, the less the system is, the more software somebody could buy alongside with it. So I don't know though.
That's true. Yeah, not really from scratch, because they still have their Switch audience that even if they don't buy a Switch 2 immediately, it seems like Nintendo will still release software, so we'll still sell to them. But you also have to think about getting people moving over to it, and that high price point that would keep people on the Switch for quite a while, I feel like, until they get a Switch Lite, a Switch 2 Lite, or just a discount down the road for Black Friday or something. It's
right, because you got to figure, you know, Switch Lite people, especially, you know, they got in at $200. They're not going to be like, oh, wow, we got to pay over double the price now for this new thing. Yeah, let me run out there and get it. You know, obviously there's going to be a lot of diehards on day one, but I feel like, you know, Nintendo does like that more casual audience. And I think the cheaper you can be while still being, you know, financially sound and things, the better off that they'll be with this.
It's the Switch Lite. People who own the Switch Lite, I feel like they're going to be the most difficult to move over, because the Switch 2's big selling point would be 4K. So it'd be like docked play, which we didn't really. So when the OLED came out, that was all about the handheld experience, really. So I guess technically Switch 2 being more about the docked experience would be nice, kind of have that for docked players. But if you have a Switch Lite, that library is still massive to go through. I don't know if I would be, oh, well, it's still in handheld, but, you know, plays a little better. You got to have some killer software, like, I guess, an exclusive Mario Kart bundled in even.
Yeah, I mean, there you go.
I guess that's the move.
Until
that bundles. Switch logo pops up at the end and it's cross-gen.
Ugh.
But hey, something's going to be cross-gen. Something's going to do it.
I think your Metroid should be. I mean, well, technically, John, all Switch 1 games are going to be cross-gen, but you need to have your own definitive library to. Although I will say, PlayStation 5 sales kind of proved that wrong, because there was tons of cross-gen shit, and that system still sold very well. But from my personal perspective, I would like to see exclusives.
It's that default system, the PS5. That's just where it is now. I mean, we're gonna get into Microsoft in a bit, but
it 100% is.
Yeah, just the default system, man. It's like, what do you do? So Nintendo's in their own lane. I'm hoping at least that 3D Mario exclusive. And you know, the thing I wouldn't mind seeing Nintendo figure out and make kind of interesting, because I feel like we've been spinning our wheels a lot, is ray tracing. It sounds funny because we've only seen it one way. I almost wonder if Nintendo would do something weird with ray tracing where it's interesting in a game. Kind of like the 3D function on the 3DS. I know it wasn't used like a crazy amount by everyone, but you know, Nintendo had some games like Mario, when they put that on the 3DS, that did some interesting stuff with it. So something like that, but like ray tracing involved. I don't know. I'm trying to think of like something that would make them say, hey, this can't be on the Switch because of this.
I mean, just make the games bigger and better. You know, like that's what's you could sit there and tell someone, you know, oh, this is why it can't be on the old system. But, you know, I think there will be somewhat of a obviously you're not going to get like a classic generational leap, but I think just from the eye test, the Switch to Switch 2 leap will be probably a bit more pronounced than what we saw from the PS4 to the PS5.
Yeah, I would think so. I mean, it'd have to be just based on even people's worst case scenario, their doomsday scenario of the thing being 8 nanometers. Though it's still going to be a significant leap over what we're dealing with currently. I mean, the X1 chip was 2015 tech. It's like now you can look at the Switch 2. Even that stuff would be technically more advanced than some of the stuff we see in the Xbox Series and the PS5 even. So it'll be that's the big thing. I'm just waiting for them to unveil that big 3D Mario, and it's like, okay, I see the vision here. So
yeah,
they're getting there. It's just still a couple months away.
I mean, even do you think that the Switch would be able to competently handle, let's go under the assumption that there is 24 racers in Mario Kart 9? Do you think the Switch would be able to competently handle that at 1080 60 minimum?
No,
that's tough. No, I'm gonna say no. It'd have to be a cut down version, I assume.
So then you kind of negate the potential of that being cross-generational.
Maybe. Celia, were you going to say something? I'm sorry.
Oh, I was like, the Switch couldn't handle Kirby and the Forgotten Lands. It's not going to handle... And that was like enemies in the foreground with you, kind of just doing things. How is it going to handle 24 racers doing a bunch of wacky stuff while in an environment?
Just turns them all into 2D cutouts.
Right? Or just introduces N64 fog, but like everywhere.
PS1 crowd.
Cool. Can't wait. I know, it just doesn't make sense. Like, and I agree with you guys. Like, in general, people don't buy hardware, or maybe some people do, but like the mass amount of like consumers typically buy hardware for software. So, once we get those announcements with the games that make sense for you to move to the next generation, the consumers will follow.
I'm going to stick with Nintendo here for a moment because we had that listing that popped up on Newegg, which, okay, the whole thing with that is someone could have just been obviously putting that information in there to try to sell the card better. I get it. But the thing that was interesting and brought up was the idea, of course, of a Zelda remake or a Zelda remaster. And I thought I would actually go more to the side of what would be the most interesting or more interesting Zelda remake you would like to see done.
Well, no, okay. So we're talking about a remake, not a remaster.
Remake, not remaster, remake. Like, okay, they take a game and they go remake.
Ocarina.
Okay.
And then Majora immediately after.
Majora never, and Ocarina.
How dare you?
You can play the smelly 3DS version.
You can play the smelly 3DS version of Ocarina. Your point is moot. Majora is fantastic, and I don't know, it's one of my favorite Zelda games of all time, just with the story. We're using the assets in a unique way. Introducing, I know people didn't like the time mechanics of that game, but it was really well done for its time and very impressive. And it was just fantastic. And also all the side quests with the masks, it was so original. And the music is haunting. And the characters are so much fun.
The original asset flip game. Because of that game, you open up the doors to all these Chinese companies being like, oh, we could do asset flips too. Nintendo did it.
I mean, asset flips have always been a thing.
Yeah,
like
it's not
in
the first.
games. Yeah, it's not the first.
It's by far not the first.
But it was the biggest.
I wouldn't say that. But...
No, I think Ocarina would be. Remember when I tried to play Majora on the N64 after I
couldn't find a save point?
I couldn't find a save point, and Nate was like, "You can't save for like the first hour." And I was like,
"Did you not read? It tells you where you can save."
Yeah, but you have to wait for like
an hour and a half.
Yeah.
Is it an hour and a half? No, it took you an hour and a half to get to Clocktown.
I
think
it's
an fast of a person.
I didn't get there because Nate told me it would take me an hour and a half, and after 25 minutes, I was like, "I'm done with this."
I'm pretty sure the opening part of the game is 25 minutes. Right?
No.
Okay. I'm going to do a replay. Okay, I'm not going to play Alice tonight. I'm going to play Majora's Mask and time myself.
Well, the 3DS added stuff, so it was more approachable. Like
yes.
I think you can save right better. So he's talking about the original N64 version.
Yes.
That's what he's referencing. Yeah, okay.
Yes, that's the one I'm referencing. I didn't play the 3DS versions because I didn't like that they made it like more convenient.
Yeah. Okay. So I'll throw a different one because I figured everyone was going to say Ocarina.
I'm going to say Oracle.
What's that?
Oh,
Oracle.
No, I'll say Phantom Hourglass.
I love Fire Emblem. Okay, I love all Zelda games. I'll stop talking.
Well, the reason for that is, in terms of a remake, the idea being they would also change up the controls, and
Would
then
they?
obviously the visuals would be
You
a
got
pretty
the
big jump.
got the mouse. You could,
Yeah, I guess
that'd be your touch
you know
screen.
what? I can't necessarily rule that out because you could use that for some of the little games and stuff, the little mini game things they have in there. That is actually a fair point. I didn't even think of that. But I was more looking at this as if they did a remake, they take something that is less accessible because it was tied to the DS, the functionality, the touchscreen and stuff. And there's already a patch out there that eliminates the need for the touchscreen on the DS, and it does play, but I think it plays better that way. So I think that'd be kind of cool. One, the visual leap would be ridiculous, be significant. But then also just the control scheme, everything getting changed up and being introduced, I think, almost as a brand new Zelda game to a lot of people now. So that, I think that'd be kind of cool just to see that. And it would definitely be a curveball. No, I don't think a lot of people would expect them to go out and remake Phantom Hourglass.
That'll be a curveball. Get Spirit Tracks. That'll be a real curveball.
Everyone's Spirit. Yeah, everyone's expecting Ocarina, and they're like, "Oh, here's Phantom Hourglass." I don't know if people would see that one coming. So I feel like Ocarina would have to be done by, I don't want to say they're like Nintendo's A team, who would be clearly working on the next big original 3D Zelda game, but yeah, I think that one needs to be a bit more supervised by Nintendo as opposed to giving it to, I don't know, Tantalus or something. Like, I think that, whereas Phantom Hourglass, you could probably be like, here, do something with this. So
Ocarina of Time would be the big new Zelda game. How dare you?
Like the new one, the new original.
I think it would be the new one. I think that would fit fine.
But I guess they'd be able to get rid of any kind of loading or any transition screens or anything. It would just be one seamless experience because of the faster storage and stuff too that they'd have.
Was there loading? I don't remember. Well, they would use
like walking between areas.
Yeah, it was usually where you're walking into a new zone and your character does like the walking animation forward.
They like run away and then run back to the camera, and
yeah,
they get rid of all that stuff. So it like never, you basically never have a camera cut or anything.
Oh, but it's part of the charm. Sorry, I'm just a purist. I'm gonna stop arguing over this hypothetical situation. Okay.
Yeah, I mean either one would be, just in general, a Zelda game would be a lot of excitement online. But I will say Ocarina of Time, I get it. That is the big one, and that'd be a lot of fun to see that remade, newer technology, the whole thing, ray tracing. So, that'd be fun.
I don't.
All right, let's
stop with the ray tracing. It's a resource hog.
Somebody's got to do it. Nintendo's the one with NVIDIA making a chip that does it.
All because you can doesn't mean you should.
Especially if you aren't that great at it.
Yeah. Imagine Pokemon companies.
Yeah. Game Freak comes out, yo, RTX everywhere, 2 frames a second.
Hey, Nintendo.
Can't wait.
Nintendo looked at the haptic feedback and said, that's HD Rumble. Now it's in everything. And it's a big marketing selling point. Telling you, Game Freak's gonna get a hold of that, and it's gonna be like a whole new world for them. That'll be great. Let's go over to the Xbox Developer Direct. This was yesterday, and people seemed very happy with this. I don't know if you guys all had a chance to check it out. Celia, I don't know if you had a chance to check out the Xbox Developer Direct.
I skimmed it.
Okay, cool. And I know Sean got a chance. You mentioned it as well. But we do have the Xbox Wire post here that has all like the pertinent details and stuff. As I was watching it though, it is interesting because I feel like people are generally interested in what these studios do, like what it looks like internally. But then if it goes on for too long, people then just kind of get uninterested. So there's like this fine line you have to walk. And there's like I think Clair Obscur is interesting as an example, but they definitely spent a lot of time at that studio where it's like, okay.
Well, I think that's kind of a problem that I personally have. Like, I feel like there should be, and I know someone on this panel won't like what I have to say, but you got 4 games. This should be 15 minutes long. And then after the initial presentation, then you have those developer videos that you go up separately after that. So that way people can watch it. Because the average person, if they're not interested in the game that's being shown, they don't give a fuck what the developer is going to say. Like, the developer can't say anything that would change their mind. Be like, oh, now I'm interested in this game. So I just feel like, you know, you get into one of those situations where it's like, I'm not interested in this game, but I have to sit through and watch 15 minutes of this to see what's next. You know what I'm saying? I feel like it's just a pacing issue for a lot of people.
Sean, why would you think a certain member of the panel wouldn't like that answer?
I know how Evan gets.
Understandable.
Seething inside.
Hate in your eyes. No, I do agree with Sean with certain parts of that. I do really enjoy developer insight. Like I wrote my notes when I was like kind of watching it. I really enjoy developer directs. I love seeing the vision of what the game is. But I do agree having lengthy, in-depth, like I guess editorial style or Nintendo Treehouse style, like, you know, videos about the game, the development and the vision and the designs would be more effective in a separate video, just focused on that. Because yeah, I some of the games like I was really excited for, but a couple of them, you know, to be honest, I am not a Doom fan. The last Doom game I've played is Doom 64, and it's not very good on the Nintendo 64, in my opinion. And so like learning more about that, it just kind of fizzled out for me, even though I was excited to watch the direct. So I skimmed a few things. But I think it should get its own attention in a separate video instead. Maybe I've had like 2 minutes introducing the studio. That would have been a healthy amount, keeping attention, introducing people to it. So maybe you might get more interested without dragging it on too long.
You want to pause and give a shout out to Joshua Butts, who gifted 20 Spawn Wave memberships. If you did get a membership from Joshua, drop a message in the chat here. Shout out to Joshua. So thank you down there. There we go. Let me go through this here. The developer directs, because so we knew there was going to be a surprise. They mentioned there's a 4th studio that will be here, and they weren't telling us what it was, but it did sort of get out there. And I mean, look, it was hinted and teased, and people were doing a lot of stuff online. Like there's one where people were drawing the different studios, and then it ended with the mystery game, and then it was sort of being passed around behind the scenes. So I was excited going into it because I had started to hear about it, but I didn't expect them to start with it. And it was really funny because if you watch some of the reactions that people posted up, you can tell immediately who's going to be really into what they're going to show, because they have that initial like camera pan with the water and the storm happening, and you're like, oh, that's Team Ninja's intro. What is this? What's Team Ninja doing here? And then it immediately went into a new Ninja Gaiden game, Ninja Gaiden 4, with Platinum Games being part of it. It's a collaboration between Platinum, Team Ninja, and Microsoft is publishing this thing. So I guess 4 years ago, when we heard Phil was making the rounds in Japan and was talking to studio, I guess this was something that he worked to set up with Platinum and with Team Ninja. Now there's history here, clearly, because if you go back to when Ninja Gaiden first came out back on the original Xbox, and we had Ninja Gaiden 2 on the Xbox 360. I mean, it was there with Xbox. It was actually known mostly as an Xbox title then. Like that's what we kind of aligned it with, Ninja Gaiden, which is weird because before that with the 2D games, it was all Nintendo. It's like, oh, there's Nintendo games. Then it was Xbox. It was awesome then. And it looks great now. They have like a different protagonist, it appears. And you also have Ryu Hayabusa in there, as they showed him in the trailer. Coming out fall 2025, though. So we're probably like 8 months off from this game coming out after they just revealed it.
Could have been a system seller for Xbox, but you know.
Okay, we're going to talk about some of that in a minute as we get towards the end. Don't worry. We'll talk about some of the systems being shown here. But any excitement from you guys about a Ninja Gaiden 4? It's been the last one came out 2012, 13 years, almost 13 years since Ninja Gaiden 3 came out, and that was controversial as it was.
Looks awesome.
Sean seems excited. Can't contain himself. Okay. Celia, you Ninja Gaiden person? How you feeling?
Nope. I think it's cool. I played the original and it didn't beat it. I played a little bit. I didn't even know there was new ones. But when I was watching it, I wrote, cool, ninja hacky slashy. So it looks fun. It's like the game looks stunning. The combat looks really cool. They mentioned that there was different play styles. Variety is the spice of life. It looks fast paced. Like I'll give it a try, but it's not usually my cup of tea.
I do have a question though.
Mm-hmm.
The voice of the new character isn't that Raiden from?
Oh, is it? We could look at the voice act. We could say
no, but no. I'm just doing the sound test on it because I thought. Listen to it. It sounds exactly like Raiden to me.
Does
because I thought when it first popped up, I was like, "What is this? Revengeance 2? Like, what is going on here?"
Well, it is technically it's platinum, and you could see so platinum is very good at one type of game. They're very good at it.
Wonderful 101.
Well, okay. In terms of the fast, flashy action hack and slash kind of game, they're very good at that. And I think they're trying to separate a bit by doing something like Project GG, which has not materialized. But when someone goes, "Hey, we need this kind of game," they are usually there to deliver, and they do generally above average work. So I saw this, and then they were showing it, and it all kind of came together, made sense. And then here comes Ryu, and it's like, okay, I get it, Ninja Gaiden. But you're right, the protagonist. Now that it does, yeah. I gotta see who's credited for the voice work on this. Then maybe somebody in the chat knows or can tell us.
Like if you hear it and they start talking about Rose or something like that, like it would sound completely logical to me. Like when they infiltrated the facility, like it sounds just like fucking Raiden.
Well, I like to see this, the new Ninja Gaiden, and the fact that Microsoft is involved is that's a big deal, I think, just in general for their relationship to Japanese developers here, and getting some of these projects off the ground, because it seems like this was basically up to if Microsoft was going to do it or not. It was going to happen. Like it's them who had to come in and basically front the money to get it done and bring together Platinum and Team Ninja. So that's really cool to see, and it's going to Game Pass day one, so that's a big get for Game Pass, I feel like. But they weren't done because I was not expecting this one. I saw Ninja Gaiden 4. I was like, oh, cool. That's great. And they're like, hey, one more thing. And they're going through it. And I'm looking, I'm like, okay, that looks like an older Ninja Gaiden game, but not quite, because it looks a little too good to be that. And then they go over it, and it's Ninja Gaiden 2 Black, which is an Unreal Engine 5 remake of Ninja Gaiden 2 from the Xbox 360, which, Celia, if you want to try out a Ninja Gaiden game, this is a good one to check out. It's on Game Pass now. They shadow dropped it. It's available. And I've been playing it, and it's very good. It's very, very fun. It's still Ninja Gaiden 2, but it's completely redone, dressed up in Unreal Engine 5, and it looks clean right now on like the big OLED, on the computer. Ultra wide monitor support if you want to play it on PC. So it looks great.
Okay, yeah, I'll check it out.
Okay, it's so the issue with Sigma 2 is it wasn't as violent. Like, people didn't like it. They got rid of dismemberment and stuff, which is weird when you're a bloodthirsty ninja who has a katana that slices through people no problem, and there's like less blood and there's not much dismemberment. In this one, though, it's all there. Like, it's crazy how detailed it is at times. But yes, you do just hack and slash and cut people to pieces left and right. And it's Game Pass now, day one. It also went on PlayStation 5, and they have that up currently. I think it's at $50 with PS5 Pro enhancements. So I'm all for this. A really, really cool. I've played through the first 4 chapters now, I think. So I got a couple hours in for it. But Evan, you do any Ninja Gaiden over there?
Not really. I mean, single player, just basic linear.
Man, the single player thing's not hitting, huh?
No. I mean, it can. It's just, it is what it is. It's just
if it's
a game from its era. It's fine.
It's very good. It's a very good game. Did you download this, Sean?
2?
Yeah. 2 Black.
Isn't it's 80 gigs or something?
85 gigabytes.
I don't have that kind of room. I did it. I checked it out on cloud just for a few minutes just to see if I could find some space to free up of non-multiplayer shit that we play, then yes, I will. Because I actually played, I mean, not recently, but semi-recently when the collection came out. 2 was the one I ended up playing and beating. So it's kind of a little still fresh in my mind. But Yeah, I'll free up some space for it.
Okay. Yeah. It's so funny. We've had so many of these Souls-like games, and this action game, but it plays way different. And I kind of think it's a nice change up here from all the Souls games I've been playing over the past several years now. So it's good to be reminded that we used to have games like these, and it makes me excited for Ninja Gaiden 4 at the end of the year.
80 gigs is fucking crazy though for that game.
It ballooned quite a bit because the Ninja Gaiden 2 is 4 or 5 gigabytes, I think, something like it. Yeah. So
old Unreal Engine.
It's all just
Unreal Engine
uncompressed
5,
textures.
super high quality assets. Yeah, it's much different than those times when, I mean, back then 360, we were playing games at what, like 540p to 600 some odd p, and yeah, they get away with a lot more than.
Speaking of P, I gotta pee. I'll be right back.
Okay. We had, which is kind of a shame that it followed up. Ninja Gaiden, again, I don't really know why they opened with this. Maybe it's just, okay, that's when peak viewership is, when we open. But they then went to South of Midnight. We did get the release date on it, April 8th. And this is from Compulsion, which the game itself looks kind of strange to me because they do the stop motion thing with the frame rate on the different characters that you run into in these cutscenes. Some people did mention in the comments when I went over this game that you can turn that off in the options. I might do that. I know they're looking for a particular look to it, but it's not clicking with me. However, the game itself looks super imaginative, and the combat, I think it looks good. The traversal looks good. So I'm interested in this one. And again, it's going into Game Pass. So I will say, when you hear that, it's like, okay, yeah, just download it and try it out. What you think of this one, Celia, South of Midnight?
Oh, I'm definitely going to day one play this. I really like the art style. The monsters look really interesting, and it's like, I just think it looks really unique. I'm curious about I'm going to call it by the wrong name, like the spindle thing that she uses.
Like Weaver.
Yeah,
like
Weaver. There we go.
Yeah.
I'm curious about that mechanic and how well it's going to flow with like kind of the action adventure that they're going for. But I'm excited to check it out, and especially since it is day one on Game Pass, like instant download. Yeah, I also really like the main character's voice. It's like really
Hazel.
soothing. Yeah, it's so soothing, and I was like, oh, I listen to her talk anytime. So, yeah, I'm excited to play it.
It does look super creative, though. You're right. Like it looks very unique, and that's something. When a game does look unique like that, it does make me a bit more interested, rather than just feeling like I've seen the same thing over and over again. So I mean, I'll be checking it out on Game Pass, and that's in April. Would you any thoughts, Sean, on South of Midnight?
I'm glad you could turn off the fucking choppy shit.
Okay, see, it wasn't just me. All right, good. I thought it was just me.
I think it looks terrible. All
right,
but yeah, because we talked about it last night on Analog Allies, and the chat informed me that you could turn it off, and I was like, oh, okay, well that makes it a lot better. Like I don't know, like I don't know. It's a weird thing to kind of promote, but
okay, so I'm curious about that since I skipped around a bit. Obviously, I didn't watch the full showcase to its completion. Where in there did they say that you can turn off the choppiness? I figured it was just a rendering issue when they were playing it.
Cutscene thing, yeah.
Yeah, I just figured it was something that, like, it's early. That
was mentioned, I don't know, in like a press release or just more information that's about this in interviews or something. But yeah, so apparently that is a look they're that's a look they're going for, is like kind of that stop motion sort of effect. Okay, interesting. Yeah, I just excused it. It was like an early version of the game, like, and they're just showing what they got so far. Okay, interesting. Okay, I'm still gonna play it though. Then we move on to, so that's April 8th. Then we move on to a game that comes out 2.5 weeks later. 2 weeks later, Clair Obscur Expedition 33. It's a turn-based RPG where they have like a big tree kind of in the middle that has a number on it, and it counts down. And every time it counts down, anyone who is aged above that just disappears. So as you get older in the world and that ticks down, you technically have less years than even that, because it keeps getting close to you while you get closer to it. And it showed that people just disappearing. And apparently you are the 33rd expedition to go off and try to figure out what's happening and solve it before, I guess, eventually it ticks to 0 and there's no one. So when they showed this off initially, it looked to me, it looks like Lost Odyssey all the way. Like just the kind of the mature tone of it and the camera angles. They call it a reactive based, like turn-based system, like reactive based, what they call it. And it's really just kind of what we've had before, where you have action commands that you press on screen to do more damage or defend or parry. But I really like what I'm seeing here with this game. And this is from a new studio, actually. It's Sandfall, I believe. Sandfall Interactive. Yes, Sandfall Interactive. So this is their first game, and they're taking a lot of inspiration, they said, from old JRPGs specifically.
I'm very excited for this game.
Celia, as the RPG person here with this, a lot of these games. What do you think?
I am very excited for this game. The art style looks really good. I'm really excited for like the dark tones. They touched on like how some of the characters, like, it'll be morally gray, so it's not like, you know, it's not just black and white. Like there's, you know, it goes around and like people are what?
Once again, the black and white. What's going on?
You know,
here?
no, it's like things aren't black or white. It's morally gray.
Oh,
That's a saying, Sean. Anyways, rewind.
Just hit your bait, buddy. Hit your bait.
Yeah, just hit your bait. It's fine. Yeah, I'm just really excited to experience the character stories, learn more about the world. I was really excited that they added world maps, because that's a feature that, you know, isn't in every JRPG anymore, where it's like a full, with a world map, it's a 3D world map. And yeah. I watched more of this one than I did for the other parts of the presentation, because I was really pumped about it. Did they announce a release date? I'm not remembering. If they
do. Yep. It's so it's coming out 2 weeks after South of Midnight. So it is coming out April 24th. We are 3 months away from this game coming out.
I'm gonna have a very busy April.
Right. That's the thing people are noticing right now about Microsoft with this Direct is they filled up the first half of this year pretty well. Mm-hmm. But the thing I will say this, Celia, when they showed that overworld map, I was like, okay, that's good. But I get concerned at times when they kind of throw this stuff out there as like, oh, we have an overworld map. I'm like, does it need an overworld map? I've thought about that at times, because it's like, okay, how empty is the overworld map, and how much was it put in there as we just wanted to have one to have it?
You know what? I'm supportive, because my brain was like Dragon Quest when like
no, I'm not saying it's gonna absolutely be like a bad idea. It's just that's the thing that kind of gave me some pause, because when you play Final Fantasy 16, they just went with the idea of you have like a menu system basically to go around to different points. And those areas are like kind of open, right? You can still kind of explore, but it's not all interconnected. And I didn't mind that as much. I thought that was actually a good setup.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we'll see. Like, hopefully you can skip over the bullshit, like, because of the map. So we'll find out.
I mean, it looked like they were up in the air flying around and stuff. So it seems like they're not going to make you walk from point A to point B at all times. So, but I like this. Also, I don't know if you want to notice, some of the damage numbers they were throwing around in that trailer were massive. Like thousands of damage popping up, and they're like level 15. So I don't know if this is one of those games where you break a damage limit, go 100,000 damage or something. So that'd be kind of cool if they actually leaned into that, because some of the games I've been playing recently, like Dragon Quest 3 HD 2D, it's definitely more grounded in the idea of, hey, you're gonna do a couple hundred damage, not gonna do tens of thousands of damage. Mm-hmm. I don't know. Somehow that's kind of fun.
We'll find out.
RPG 85, you on this?
It does look interesting. I might.
Okay.
Yeah, it depends. I mean, now we're getting into April. You got all these games coming out.
A lot of games hitting. Sean's seal of approval is in. What about Evan? You in this one?
Another single player game. That's awesome. I mean, it looks
still
good.
Searching for a seal of approval.
I'm fine avoiding. It looks fantastic for people who are into that kind of thing, and it definitely has a lot of callbacks. I know you were like, the open world might not be that good, but this is a new world, so they have to kind of build the atmosphere, build all of that, and you don't do it by just being like, go to this zone. That you kind of need to see stuff, because when they were panning around, the camera does change as they move to show, hey, that's a giant robot over there. Isn't that kind of cool? They build some stuff.
It's a whole new world, John. A new fantastic point of view. There's no one to tell you no or where to go.
Thank you. Fast forward 3.5 weeks later, we have Doom: The Dark Ages. That's May 15th. And this game looks awesome. Man, I liked basically everything they showed, actually. I'm trying to think of anything I saw that they showed where I was like, I don't know. I don't think so. I think it's all there. Sean did point out there's no multiplayer. I get it. I understand. And there was, I think they put out a reason for that. It was like, hey, we just wanted to focus on the single player aspect to it. But you know what? A basic arena shooter like what they did with Doom 2016 is fine. We don't.
Well,
it doesn't need to be live service.
I saw people saying, "Who cares? You play Quake or Unreal Tournament to play shooters online." I'm like, when did these appear on consoles for me to enjoy? Like, no, you don't say that. And a lot of people are just like, "Oh, who cares?" And I'm like, I get it if you weren't a fan of it. And Doom Eternal's multiplayer was not great, but 2016 was a lot of fun.
It was kind of a missed opportunity to make almost their own Titanfall because they showed the the mechs in this game. You got a mech. It's supposed to be, it's medieval Doom. I'm thinking, oh, it's going to be like, they're going to pair it back on technology. Oh no, here's a mech. So,
you guys are flying on the back of a dragon. There could have been so much weird stuff to do.
You fly on the back of a dragon with like Gatling gun, like fire and stuff everywhere. It looks absolutely insane. That would have been kind of cool in multiplayer though, Sean. I will say that big mechs fighting each other and stuff in the middle of the arena while everyone else on the ground running around. But it looks super fast. You are still like, in this case, you're a tank basically running through everything. Got the Captain America shield with the blades that spin on it. And the enemies just break into pieces. Like they have their I'm trying to remember what the tech was called. I think like it was called the flesh system. And as you're hitting these enemies, they're like pieces of them are flying off and stuff. It looked really good in motion, and it seemed like it was holding its frame rate pretty much the whole time. And all kinds of crazy weapons. Got the big flail. They just bashes people their head in, and they're just blowing to pieces. And it seems like it's going to be a sandbox. So it's not going to be like point A to point B per level. You're just going to go out and explore the world and find different hidden secrets and abilities and power-ups. So I'm into it. This looks awesome. Celia, I know you're really big into all the blood, gore, guts, everything flying all over the place.
Is there cats in it?
Yeah. Evan's on to the real questions that we have to ask here.
Are you're a Doom person too, I take it?
What? No. Once again, I haven't played Doom since Doom 64.
Oh, wow. Okay.
So it's been a little bit. I was bummed that it's not going to release on the same day as an Animal Crossing like it did before. So we don't have those really cute Doom guy and Isabel memes. But whatever, it's fine. I guess they'll have a boring release this time. No, I'm kidding. It's just not something that's on my radar.
Yeah, I thought it looked fun. I'm definitely downloading and playing it immediately when it drops. You gonna make room for this one, Sean? I take it.
Sorry, I'm checking my email. Possibly. Yeah.
Here's the thing.
Doom. Yeah.
So. Here's the thing with Sean when it comes to these shooters with a campaign, he gets so wrapped up in multiplayer, doesn't even look at it. He hasn't played a Halo campaign ever. So I don't know. Maybe the Doom no multiplayer thing threw you off, and now you're not even gonna look at it.
Yeah, no, I will. Because I like Doom, and I always play the single players in those.
Okay, but overall, looking at this, they've set up. I mean, if you look at this, they go all the way up to mid-May, May 15th, and basically the first quarter now to almost first half of the year is quite packed, actually, especially when you look around right now with Nintendo or Sony in comparison. It seems like Microsoft has quite the 2025 that they're building up right now. Just at this direct, as we do have Avowed, that's next month technically, but then going from there, we have Clair Obscur, we have South of Midnight, Doom, and then we had Ninja Gaiden 2 Black drop yesterday. And I mean, Game Pass, I'm sure we'll get some more third-party stuff in there. So is Microsoft right now setting up the big 2025 we've been waiting for, the big year they've been promising for years now?
I mean, it definitely looks like it. And, PlayStation fans get most of the stuff too. So, hey, I guess everyone wins. There's a lot of.
You want to speak on that for a minute, Sean, with the PS5 logos at the end? How do you feel about that with the PS5 being advertised at Microsoft's Xbox Direct?
I still don't really get it. Like, I don't know. It's odd to me because, I guess there is the benefit of if you have Game Pass, you have like Ninja Gaiden 2 was, I think it's $50 on PlayStation, or it's in Game Pass, so the value is there. But my mentality when I talk about this is getting a PlayStation owner to want to get an Xbox, and I don't ever see that really happening if the games end up coming over there, because you can you would have to buy the system, you'd have to get Game Pass, and then for some people it's just like, oh well, I'll just buy the one game that I want or the two games that I want. So I hope it's working out for them, because I don't want to see Xbox leave the console sphere, but I'm not sure how it
Well, John, it's going forward with the strategy that they've been doing. The console wars have been over for years, and people who buy PlayStation, though there's overlap, sometimes they'll buy a Switch as well, or if you're an Xbox fan, you're more likely to buy just an Xbox console. So that user acquisition doesn't really exist like how it used to, when everyone was fighting of, well, who's the best, and then getting more people to go over to their side. The next switch over to things in software is you're going to make your purchase on your own console, but it's going into those other markets that you wouldn't have gotten those purchases from to begin with, and getting user acquisition that way. So with their strategy, with diversifying, with the studios and keeping on those platforms, they don't really care if you're, if you buy an Xbox or not, they're still getting money from you.
So, but
of course, this is me assuming, but looking at their strategy, that's what they've been doing. And there's also, in addition to that, of Xbox Game Pass, this is an Xbox, but you're still playing our games and we're still getting our money from it. It just aligns with the strategy. Okay, that's it.
But my point is, I agree that does align with the strategy, but I don't necessarily like the strategy to say, oh, the console wars are over. It's not about a console war. It's about having different companies with their own systems that creates and breeds innovation and creativity, and most importantly, competition. And if Xbox keeps going down this road, you're going to be with PlayStation and you're going to be with Nintendo, and that's it. And I don't like the sound of that. I like competition. I like different hardware manufacturers. I like there to be a reason to buy a console and exclusive games for a console that get me into that console. And with the diminishing, console manufacturers, like, I don't know, that sounds like a scary world to me. I'd rather have too many options and not enough options.
I imagine this was a similar conversation when like Sega and everyone was pulling out. I think we're just in a cycle. So who's the next company to step up and try at consoles?
I don't think there is. This point. I don't think there is.
I agree with both of you guys. It is a cycle, but at the same time, it is a very scary cycle. And unlike before, I agree with Sean. I don't really foresee another company stepping up and making something that replaces the shadow of what Xbox would leave. I too do not like the direction, though I was explaining it, of what's going on and what's been their marketing strategy shift that I've observed. It does suck. Xbox is a really fun console, and their ecosystem used to be very, very strong. And them shifting, though, may make more money for them in the long run, it's also in the long run diminishing their brand, which is a bummer. I like having more choices, and it does breed more originality and more interesting games that have different features and attract different audiences.
Got to bring back the Soulja Boy console.
Oh my God. I have a story about that, but I don't think I can tell it.
We all have stories about that.
No, like directly.
Yeah, he went after me. I was on World Star Hip Hop.
Yeah.
Oh my God, really?
Yeah.
Yeah, that was a weird timeline that was going on.
An amazing timeline, because shout out to Soulja Boy. That motherfucker made me the most money I've ever made in 1 month on YouTube.
That's incredible.
Yep.
Put him on blast, immediate money.
Yep.
Oh, he used to hang out at our booth back when I worked at Hyperkin at E3. So And like the thing is though, part of my job is if you're at our booth, I have to talk to you. So I would just hang out with Soldier Boy. But I have other stories about that for a later day.
I'm contractually obligated to speak.
No, literally, like it was like babysitting duty, and I was like, I need to tend to other things, and then I just hung out with him. It was a time. Anyways, move on.
So the idea of the console, you're saying with Xbox, you guys are saying that as they go along, they may not need to make the console anymore, and there'd be less competition then, is what I'm reading here.
Well, consoles in general aren't very like profitable. Like they're always, making that a loss. Software is where you make your most money. But I feel like also in addition to them, like taking a step from branding, obviously this is all me just, disclaimer, I'm assuming. I feel like we're nearing where PC and console are pretty blended as it is. So though they may take a step from focusing on console, they might just focus more on PC then. I don't know. We're all speculating here, but I would like them to stay in the console market.
Yeah, I kind of think what we're going to see from Microsoft, and I think it'll become more clear, especially with events like these where PS5 is plastered all over the place because they don't really care and they just want to sell copies of software, is I kind of view them more transitioning from being known as a box that they sell to being transitioned and known as the software that runs on the box that you buy. Like when you buy a PC, you're thinking of Windows versus, oh, this is Dell. It's like, is Windows on it? So in that case, for Microsoft, I think there will be the point where they announce that they're going to have the Xbox software and Windows software as like one thing. And then they'll just license that out to Asus, Dell, Lenovo, whoever wants to make a console. I think that's the move. I think that's what they're going to do. And it's going to be a very strange time and see if that even works. But I feel like right now they're just like, hey, let's get as much software as we can out there and make a bunch of money off of PlayStation as well and let them incur the cost of making 100 million consoles in a generation, because that's not a fun amount of money to put out there to build up a user base to sell to. So that's kind of what I'm envisioning they're going to do. I don't know if it'll work, but I think they're going to try it. And part of that might be because Valve, I think, is also breaking onto the Steam or scene with Steam OS. And that's actually, I think, becoming their biggest competition is the other operating system that's starting to be opened up for manufacturers. So that will be an interesting competition, if we especially get Valve announce like their own Steam box, Steam console, and you have both Microsoft and you have Sony stuff on there. It's all in one box. That was the Xbox Developer Direct, though. I thought it was good. I thought it was a great start for Microsoft for 2025. Games that are coming out are in a couple of months, and they all look good. They all look high quality, and they did a shadow drop. So good overall presentation, I'd say. By the let's see, let me go over to I'm going to go through some of the because I did see Fransby, who again may be Todd Howard. We're still not 100% sure on this, but I did see that Fransby dropped a ridiculous 50 members, gifted 50 memberships in here. So ridiculous amount by Fransby, or it might be Todd Howard. Again, we're not sure. So if you got if you just had one gifted to you, make sure you give Fransby a shout out here in the comments. That's very, very generous in the live chat. And then also in the comments after the fact, down below the video. Hey, shout out to Fransby, aka Todd Howard. Appreciate it. I'm going to go through some of these other super chats here. Let's see. Here we go. This is from Israel, says, Buenos tardes, everyone. Greetings from Honduras.
What did you call me?
Hey. What happened to your what was the last video did the Buenos Dias intro on, Sean?
Oh, it's been a long time. I got tired of it. It's been a
while. Victor says, getting Ninja Gaiden 2 Black, Ninja Gaiden 4, and Phantom Blade 0 makes me happy. We are getting action games that are not Souls-like. See? I feel like the Souls-like thing, while it was fun and new there for a while, it kind of waned a little bit. I kind of feel like Devil May Cry 5, Stellar Blade, and Ghost of Tsushima are good examples too. Yeah, I was thinking we're kind of due for a new Devil May Cry soon. Like it's been 6 years, I think, since 5. So we're due. We're due. This is from Console Gamer, says The Messenger is getting a physical release in March. Hope everyone that is watching considers getting it. That's a good game. Also, John, how many GameCube games are you at? I have not counted in a while. I also haven't ordered like a ridiculous amount somewhat recently. Some of them I've ordered have been higher dollar ones, kind of like that. The thing that's annoying is you get a lot of the cheap ones, you get a lot of, and then you have these really expensive ones, but then there's like this tier where it's like $50 to $80 games. And there's a whole bunch of them now because game price in general for retro stuff has just continued to go up and up and up. Have $1 from Bobby. Shout out to Bobby. Jason asks, hey guys, what game would you like to see native on Switch 2 that would show how powerful it is? They say theirs would be Alan Wake 2.
Shenmue.
What's a Shenmue?
That game beats
like
up so many consoles.
I feel like Cyberpunk keeps coming up. Like that's still being mentioned. Like, hey, Cyberpunk, that might be the one. You know what? I'll say it still. GTA 6. That'd be the one where I go, wow, okay, this system's quite capable then.
Nintendogs. That's going to be the game that I'm going to look at and say, wow, this
With ray
system's
tracing?
quite capable. Yeah, of course with ray tracing. How are they going to get all the dogs?
Fur physics?
Yeah, all that.
They could beam it up with the classic Crisis, just the old school. Can it run Crisis?
Kevin says, how does everyone feel about Yakuza 7 Like a Dragon? About 30 hours in, my first Yakuza game, and I'm loving it. Can't wait to start Infinite Wealth. That's interesting if that's the first one, because that completely changed the gameplay outright from all the previous entries where it became like this turn-based RPG. So that's interesting. I mean, Infinite Wealth is same kind of game, but I like the game. I also like the idea of it going to being a turn-based RPG, but I think they're going to change the gameplay again, I feel like, for the next one. So I don't know if it's going to be turn-based again. I thought maybe like tactical kind of moving around a grid or something, if they can play around with that idea. But I think I think most people look to like Yakuza 0 as being the big one for people to start with. So that's interesting. You jumped immediately to 7.
You should play 0, Kevin. It's so good.
I'm actually shocked that Sean hasn't gone for that, because you're really big in the Shenmue, and I know it's not the same characters and stuff. I get it, but it's still kind of the same setup and
same vibes.
Sega and stuff. Yeah, same kind of vibes. Jorge with a $10 super sticker there. We also have P Rod, who says, hopefully we can still use our old micro SD cards on Switch 2. I would love to keep using my SanDisk 1.5 terabyte. What do you think, Sean? You think you're gonna let us do that?
I don't know.
If the goal is to prevent load times, probably not.
Yeah.
Probably not. Yeah. The question has also come up about the idea of having to install cartridge games to the fast SD card. That would be interesting if you have to do that. Katie says, someone last week recommended Deep Fear for Saturn, emulated it, and wow, unique survival horror. None of my friends heard of it. Sean should play it.
I played it. I played Deep Fear. It has the oxygen. Yeah, it was a game that only released in Japan and Europe, but you could play the PAL version, and it has like English menus and stuff like that. It's a super good game. It's kind of a it was Sega's kind of answer to Resident Evil 2, because 2 didn't come over. At least that, I mean, it doesn't really play like Resident Evil 2, but that was the intention of the game being created. But yeah, it's a super good game.
Random Saturn shout out. So that's good to see. Deep Fear. Apparently check it out.
Yeah.
This is Minato Mario says Switch 2 might cost around 45,980 yen in Japan, which is about $300 compared to US dollars right now. Definitely going to buy Japan import. I would not expect that, but hey, we'll see. See how that goes.
Maybe.
Black Metal Gamer says Majora's Mask is hipster Zelda. Not bad, not a fan. Hipster Zelda. Oh,
wait,
man.
what? No, it's just edgy. It's great. Give it a chance. It was so good.
Vampire Slayer says, hey, it's my favorite people, especially the cutie. I meant Celia, not John. Are you sure? I'm right here. Okay. Sorry. It's up, everyone. We all know the remake that needs to be done is Wand of Gamelon.
Yes.
That's deep cut. Okay. That game is a masterpiece. Ninja Gaiden all the way.
That's great.
Ninja Gaiden all the way.
I like Vampire's suggestion. We should do that one. Fuck Ocarina of Time. We need Wand of Gamelon.
Oh, man. The Ocarina of Time slander starting up already. It's like it's a 3D Link to the Past, man. Alvin says it's literally called the Developer Direct.
And
Yeah.
I'm not saying get rid of the developers. I'm just saying for the main show, chop it down a little bit.
Yeah.
Trinity of the Phoenix says Minish Cap remake.
Yes. Oh my gosh. Minish Cap was the last 2D Zelda game that like rewind. It was the last game that I played that like I didn't complete from like my childhood. And like when I beat it, I got really sad because I was like, oh man, like I'm never gonna experience a 2D Zelda game like this like ever again.
Yeah, that was the Capcom one.
Yep.
Yeah, it was so good.
David says Kirby Air Ride 2 when? Whenever Sakurai feels like it.
Yes, I'm agreeing with all of these comments.
Elliot says the story is inspired by Final Fantasy X original narrative where people would die by the age of 17 and parts of the combat as well. Hey, I'm here for it. That's gonna be a cool April release. Fransby says, considering how long games take, if you were Todd Howard, what would you have Machine Games do? Indy Jones sequel or New Wolfenstein? I would probably shift gears to New Wolfenstein. Like, so you don't do the same game twice in a row.
Yeah, but don't they want more Indiana Jones games now?
They do. Apparently, that's the word. So yeah.
Milk the teat of Star Wars. Now you got to milk the teat of Indy.
Oversaturate, bore people out, and just lose money.
There you go.
Good.
Epic Dreamer says exclusivity should end, and it will eventually.
That's a terrible take, but hey, you're allowed to.
I have a hard time convincing Nintendo of that one. Spyro Jones says, anyone have any interest in the Jedi Power Battles remaster that just came out? Yes, it's janky, but I love playing it co-op on the PS1 back in the day. I rented that game back then, and I played through, I think, like a couple levels of it, and I don't remember much.
I would just play it on my modded Dreamcast if I wanted to check it out. I don't know. It doesn't seem like because it's, it was the prequel stuff or the whatever.
Phantom Menace.
Yeah, the Phantom Menace era, which is kind of.
Corey McIntyre says, RGT, what happened to live streams?
We did one last night. Debut of Analog Allies, 11 p.m. Eastern. Thursday nights. We're back.
Thursday nights, 11 p.m. Eastern. This is from Mikey says, yo, RGT 69, where's my 2 nickels?
His name is Mikey. He has a nickel, shiny and new.
Austin says, does the tariffs on Mexico speed up all digital future with disc being made in Mexico?
No, I think you just said it to the Gulf of America. So that, there's no tariffs for that, right?
To be, I think they're going to. I don't think it's speeding it up, but I think we're already on a course for no physical games, probably by PS6, Xbox Series XXX anyway. So, not too much longer. All right, let's actually just move into the big topic, Sean. $100 video games. It's upon us. This actually came from an analyst. This is Apelion, and then CEO and analyst Matthew Ball.
I hate a
219 page presentation. Go ahead, Sean.
I hate video game analysts. That's all.
Okay, thank you. It's they say that GTA 6 could reestablish packed video game prices after decades of deflation despite rampant cost growth. Some behind the scenes hoping that GTA 6 could be priced at $80 to $100 to break that $70 barrier and helping $50 titles move up to 60 to 70 to 80, etc. Is this seems to be the shot in the arm that developers and publishers, mostly I'm sure looking at like big AAA publishers like EA, Ubisoft, definitely, and others want to move that price point up. But of course, everyone's like, hold on a minute.
Speak on it, Evan. Speak on it.
Well, I mean, I love the word hoping, but I mean, we can say that all developers and publishers want it to go to 100. In reality, all publishers and developers want it to go to 1 million. Like, they don't give a shit as long as they get more money. Like, it doesn't really, it's such a dumb term to be like, they really want it to be 100. They probably want it to be like 250, 600 maybe. Like, we've had huge games that cost a ton of money before. So I don't know. It's
Such
just
as
one of those.
Shenmue. It all comes back to Shenmue.
Disclaimer: not all developers want it to be $100
For now.
or $250.
Well, so
No, I'm kidding. It's. Oh, sorry, Sean.
I was just gonna say an indie dev lives a little bit more in reality than a AAA company does.
Yeah, if there's going to be a crash, it's a AAA crash.
Yes.
Like then the indies will just be hanging out like, ha, fuck you all.
Yeah. Like it's.
I mean,
when I talk about that. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
no, what I was saying is when the industry hurts, it hurts all of us. It's not like the
Oh, yeah.
indies are in their own little space. You know, there's a lot more that goes into it. But like on one side of things, sure, production schedules and like our, expanding, teams are expanding, and like, some games will cost like $250 million to develop through start of production to marketing at the end. And so realistically, if you're having those large budgets and your product is, at the $70 range, even if you sell like 1 million units, it's not going to make sense for even making the game to begin with. And even if you sell like a couple million units, you're just going to break even from that amount. And that's not even assuming, the 30% take that platforms get from that. So it does make sense on a financial note, but on a consumer note, like, holy shit, like so many games come out like every year, and like domestically, like, families don't have a lot of money in general to spend on, entertainment, and it's like, oh, we're gonna even get to play even less. So if it does hit that note, like, we're definitely gonna hit a crash. There's not enough consumers that would pay that price point every single time. It just economically doesn't make sense. Financially, everything, I don't know.
No, they don't want you to play other games. I mean, GTA would have online, they would have their own microtransaction systems. They want you in there 24/7. So they don't care about the other companies, honestly. So it would just kind of go that route, which is never good.
The whole thing is ridiculous. And when you talk about these big budgets, who is deciding to spend all this money? The consumer? Did the consumer tell you to spend hundreds and millions of dollars? Did the consumer tell you to do all these live service games that nobody asked for, nobody wanted, and then you canceled them? So then all that money is lost. Oh, but then it's a tax write-off for the company. Like it's and people always bring up the fucking, oh, well, I remember on the Sega Genesis, I paid $100 for virtual racing and $70 for a Final Fantasy game. That was not production. That was manufacturing. The virtual racing had a literal software chip in it that acted as a processor to get the game to run on the Genesis. So that was done out of necessity. I just feel like, and the same thing with Final Fantasy. They had, if you look at a board of a Super Nintendo game, there's different sizes of boards. And obviously the more expensive, the bigger the board, the more expensive the game was.
Yeah, anything Neo Geo related, you were just buying an actual arcade board that's getting put into a system. That's
exactly
insane.
So, I just feel like these budgets have become very overinflated, especially when you see what a game like Concord costs to develop versus a game like Astrobot. Which one made you more money? These development cycles have gotten elongated. The company, they all thought, oh, well, these COVID. If you are a CEO of a company and you saw COVID and you thought to yourself and your company, hey, this is going to carry on, you should be fired. You should be fired because you're a fucking moron. You should not be running a company. But what ends up happening? They don't get fired. The company just gets smaller and there's layoffs. And then, there's no accountability for it. So, you know what? Try $100 game. Because if to be fair, if GTA came out at $100, it would still sell. But the second EA tries it and Ubisoft tries it and all the usual suspects try it, it's going to fucking fall flat on its ass and nobody's going to fucking buy it.
If NBA 2K26 is $100, Sean, you buying it?
No, I didn't buy it. John, I waited 3 weeks to buy 2K 25 at $40.
So would you wait 3 weeks to buy 2K26 at $70?
No, I would wait 2 months.
Oh, okay.
That's
a smart move
because people can make their own rasters.
Oh yeah.
So I
just
could
play
just
the old
play.
one.
Yeah, you just play the old one, download a newer roster.
And that's what people will do. I mean, not everyone, as you mentioned. Some people will be like, all right, whatever. I want the new one. That's how it is. But you're right. I think there'd be less purchases. Would that $30 make up the difference? I don't know. That's roll the dice right there.
That goes back to what we were talking about with a $400 Switch 2 versus a $500 Switch 2. You could sell one at $500 or two at $400.
Yeah.
Where are you going to make up your money?
I mean, the problem here is this is you Sean, you said it shorter terms that you hate video game analysts.
Yes.
I think you hate the title more than anything.
Yes.
But okay. So in this sense, the idea of a game being $80 to $100 now, this just feels like it's done in a vacuum completely. Like you go to the inflation calculator, you punch in, so we'll go to $60 from 2006 when that first jumped, and they're like, okay, how much should that be now? And it's like it's $96 or something. It's how much a game should be in terms of inflation. Even if you go from 2020 to 2024, which this is going to sound crazy because it's only 4 years, but I mean, a lot of inflation happened in the span of 4 years. It's like 70 is now $86 or something like that. So even that's still above 80. And so they moved the price from 60 to 70, and that entire move is gone, eaten up completely by inflation. But how much are these games actually, if you really sit down and look at it? Because that's usually the price of admission to get in. And then there's something else around the corner for the big AAA games to get more money from you. Great example, just off the top of my head, most fighting games. Think about you buy it, and then there's how many fighters passes, or there's how many like characters you buy after that to play online with. Or if you look at Smash Brothers, even Nintendo figured it out, $60 for Smash Brothers, and then another $55 for the 2 fighter passes. So how much is that game now? It's like $111, $115 or something like that. So that's my biggest thing, is they're judging it on like the initial upfront cost, which some games will just sell it to you and that's it. I'd say the majority try to figure out money on the back end, and the game ends up being closer to $100 now anyway.
So to jump in on things, so Sean, you had said consumers do not tell these game companies to change these prices, but their behavior habits do. Like, John had just mentioned, even Nintendo figured out, like, you can get more purchases on the back end with the battle passes or character passes, wherever they called it. I didn't pay for that. But it's like one of those things where if people buy it, then it shows, oh, hey, that worked. And a lot of these, okay, Sean, get your point in, and then we can talk about this.
Smash is more of an anomaly. Did Star Wars Outlaws make a bunch of money with their $130 edition? No, they didn't. I mean, Smash Brothers is an example of an absolute success. Whereas a lot of these games that do these, deluxe $130 versions or something like that, they're not as successful. There's always going to be exceptions to the rule. I'm just saying if the $100 becomes the standard, you're going to have a lot of companies out of business in a rapid rate because nobody's going to be going out and buying their games.
Oh, yeah, I do agree with you. I do, just to be transparent, I do not want games to be $100. Fuck that. Like, there's too many. It's unaffordable as it is. And having more games being that price point would just limit the market even more. And know that $30 extra wouldn't make up for the lost sales that you'd get, like, from the beginning at launch. Because, with like behavior patterns, when you're putting things on sale, if you're not going to get at, maybe you could get at that $100 price point at day one, but then 2 months later, we can discount it for what it'd be at the $60 price point and capture that. And then so we would have a higher projected margin of growth over the long, of the cycle. Oh, Diane's got to get out somehow. So for that, maybe that would be their strategy, but they would just undercut day one purchases to begin with. So it might not make up for that and what they'd be banking on. Because also with a lot of games, the initial excitement and the press around the game at launch tends to get, the first, wave of buys, which I don't think at sale time they might get. Anyways, I'm just nerding out on this stuff. We're speculating.
Well, yeah, the 4D of it is that $100 price point is also a great shepherd to push people into paying the subscription services like Game Pass, because then you're like, oh, I'll just pay for that instead. Then you're stuck there, and you're doing that whole digital thing, and there you go.
I don't know. It's just a pain.
It's interesting you mentioned that, though, Celia, the consumer habits when it comes to buying these games. And there's this, I mean, we've had it before, but now it's really ramped up. The idea of early access for more money to these games where they launch 4 days early for $20 more. Starfield, when that dropped, and Sean, you're mentioning games that can do this and some can't. Well, Starfield did release with the Constellation Edition. There was like the deluxe edition. It's $100. So it technically was a $100 game. And then we saw Steam jump to 262,000 concurrent players when the only edition that was available was the $100 version. And everyone was like, oh, okay, hold on a minute. Are people, if it is a game like that, it does kind of feel like people would be willing to pay $100 for certain games. So Starfield, GTA 6, a new Zelda.
But I don't think you could do it with a Starfield sequel.
I don't think so. Because maybe it was the lore of Bethesda. It's like Bethesda space game.
The Bethesda cult, yeah.
Yeah. And I mean, Nintendo has one. All these companies have, essentially pay pigs that would get it on day one, regard. I mean, there's probably 50 people in this chat right now that would pay $100 for Donkey Kong Country Returns HD. Like, that's just the fact of the matter. I'm looking at it from more of a perspective of the overall consumer. Think of how many games are falling flat on their fucking ass right now at the $70 price point.
Right.
Sean, would you pay $100 for Metroid Prime Hunters?
Is it
new one, not a remake?
Online everything. It will disconnect if you run down the street too.
And you do have to keep paying for Nintendo Online.
I am not the average consumer because I would make a video on it. I would make my money back, and
it would be you and like 10 other people playing that game.
It's a tax write-off. So it's hard for me to take that hat off and just look at it from a basic consumer perspective. No, I wouldn't. I don't know that I would pay. What's the one game? The one game I paid, we did buy WWE.
There you go.
But that also came with, all the subsequent DLC.
The stuff they do to get it there anyway.
Yeah. So I mean, but I, that to me, it probably wasn't worth it because we could have waited a couple of weeks and it went on sale. But
they're but that's the point, is they're trying to get that baseline to 100, because then that Starfield Digital Deluxe, I don't know if they think that if prices went to $100 for games, that companies would all of a sudden stop being like, well, now we don't need the DLC and now we don't need the microtransactions.
Right. Yeah.
Like, well, hold on.
That's your base price. And now everything goes up to 150.
Yeah, they're going to still do it. I don't know why they feel like they won't. And even a year ago, companies have been saying this by the way, for a while. Capcom just a year ago, the president was like, game prices are kind of cheap. And this is the $70 price point already. Man, this game price need to go up. So, yeah, I completely believe it that many publishers, there was like, maybe GTA 6 will go to $80 or $90. Then we can kind of follow suit. Even if it's $10 cheaper because they went to 90, we'll be 80 for the next Resident Evil or something. I kind of feel like that is the case. And I almost wonder if somebody tries to raise it outside of Rockstar or Take-Two mid-gen before we get to PS6.
I thought this was a good comment. Those special editions are for, the diehard of the game or of the franchise or whatever it is. If you count a special edition sales versus a basic game sales, it's probably a fraction.
Best case scenario is you're getting like a steel book, a statue. This would be, here's your game. And you're like, nothing else? I guess just the game. Okay.
The thing is, though, when they talk about the raise to $100, it does, even 80, 90, a lot of it does feel like kind of like a Band-Aid, a temporary solution for a problem that just continues to get crazier and crazier behind the scenes with these budgets. Like, all I hear is if they go to $100 for games, their budgets will probably also go up because they feel like they can do that with these budgets because they feel like they feel like they'll sell the same amount of copies at that price point, and then they'll have just found money.
Yeah, the belief in the infinite ceiling, basically.
Yeah. So when we hear about, I believe GameFile had the report on some of the Call of Duty games, and one of them was a $700 million budget 3 years ago or something. That's insane. So right now, I'm not even just talking about GTA 6. I'll tell you now, right now, there are a couple of games that are in development that have it exceeds $1 billion budget.
Name them.
There are games right now in development, and some of them I think at least one of them's at Sony right now. That sounds crazy, but
think they're going to cancel it?
No, I think this one has. I think it's going to have to come out.
I'm very confused who's approving these budgets, like in general. And I understand that they are projecting with certain things, with inflation and team size and year and scale. And if it's a live service, the years that they're supporting, sure, whatever, blah, blah, blah. But when you're looking, and like, obviously I don't speak for them, but this is just me assuming that they have this. And when they're deciding their development lineup of what's actually going to get produced, there is a amount of projection in seeing whether like the profit versus loss, like projections, if this venture is going to make sense. And if there's reason to believe when looking at past projects, if they're going to be able to meet that and or exceed it. Obviously no one releases a game expecting it to fail, but there's a level of realism when looking at this. And I'm pretty sure all these companies are rich enough to have the best of the best. So I'm really confused if they're doing this. Is there a certain thing that the board is embellishing of reasons why they think that this is going to do 4 or 5 times the amount than it historically did, even if you factor in new markets? It blows my mind. It's crazy. Like, who's approving this?
No, I wonder if it's like a pettiness thing. Like, hey, you hear how much that budget is at Sony? Can we go 100 million higher just to seem better? Like, it's that weird feeling. Because if they're thinking in terms of, oh, well, we'll just keep raising everything. The last major thing in games industry that was like, oh, infinite growth, it'll be great, was subscription systems. Where are those right now? They're all just flatlined straight across. They're not going anywhere. So if you're assuming that's going to carry over and be like, oh, well, that screwed up there, but it'll still be infinite growth elsewhere.
Well, when we hear about the Celia, like for example, Celia, you're talking about the budgets here. We heard about Horizon and Last of Us Part 2, the development costs for that, because it was sharing the FTC stuff, and this would have been technically like 2020 timeline. Technically before that, when they got greenlit, they exceeded like $220 million for development. Now think about marketing and whatever else, right? And then add 50% on top of that for inflation now, and all of a sudden you're like, wow, they're probably near the 400 some odd $500 million mark for that all in.
What are they? Okay, so I understand how expensive marketing is, so I don't doubt the cost of that. Okay, ads are so expensive, and then imagine them everywhere. But in general, for these production scales, like I'm so confused. And like, I know that like sometimes it's not only internal, like they'll hire outside agencies that do like the consumer test. It's like consumers actually want to see this. And then they'll take that and then run with that data and just go a little crazy with it. But man, what I wouldn't give to be a fly on the wall when determining these budgets and seeing what they actually say. I don't know.
I mean, they were, with some of those leaked Insomniac documents, they were considering taking Spider-Man 3 just as an idea. They were like trying to figure out ways to get their money back for it because the licensing costs were so high, and then the development marketing. They thought about splitting it into 2 parts and selling it as 2 games because of that. 2 $50 chunks, so it'd be $100 for the whole thing.
Oh gee, so, $100 game. Love that.
Yeah. So this has been going on for a while, trying to figure out how to get the price of games up without feeling like the price of games have gone up. It's this weird thing that they're trying to, I don't know, they're trying to like, it's this illusion they're trying to create of it.
I feel like the AAA game scene just needs a refresh. Like this
infinite growth. Down.
No, not burn it all down, but maybe.
I mean, they're already doing it to themselves right now.
I know, but like, let's not do that. I like my friends having jobs, but maybe like everyone can just like have smaller chunks and have, great games with smaller teams that are all working on different things, and it's maybe at an affordable price point, where everyone can
But I
make
thought
cool
the
things.
consumer dictated the game's budget.
Part of
Technically,
it
they
does.
will if they don't buy them.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. No, but there's a part of that consumer. Okay, so rewind, Sean. Consumer purchasing behavior habits are a factor of what that goes into determining the price and determining what projects make the most sense. That's why we got a bunch of live service games that were greenlit, because at a certain point when the key people were making those decisions, they looked at the numbers and were like, wow, this is really high. We should keep on doing this because we can make extra money. And they made those projections based off of that data. And it turns out we're all sick of that shit now. So things got canceled and were too expensive, and a lot of other stuff that needs more nuance happened. But yeah, I hope that answers your comment, Sean. I just turned into a rant. I don't know. I have a lot of feelings.
Good, let them out.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I'm curious about some of the budgets that we'll hear someday. But it is also weird to me that it's so secretive in gaming. Whereas a movie, we'll hear about the budget, we'll hear about how much some of the actors and actresses were paid, and we'll know if it's a success pretty quickly. But like gaming, it's also hidden with a lot of that stuff.
Yeah, a little bit. Oops.
But like it's so interesting how different it is.
The thing is though is that like because it varies so much, and when people are trying to get sorry, I'm laughing at that comment.
That was so weird.
Wait, go back. Okay, hon, I saw Chili's and McDonald's.
Yeah.
I think the average consumer will do like they did McDonald's. They'll find alternatives like Chili's.
Honestly,
Speak on it.
That makes so much sense, because I will pick Chili's over McDonald's every day. Why am I paying $15 for fast food? Know your place, McDonald's. Anyways, back to games. What was I even talking about?
Chili's.
I don't remember.
I'm just hungry.
But yeah, me too. I think I'm gonna go to Chili's. That sounds good. But I don't remember. Oh well. It was a rant about something. Boo. Make games cheaper. Okay.
Be more efficient with your spending.
Yeah, no, honestly. And like, oh, there we go. Yeah, with games, it is making games is expensive. And people like don't even realize that for like even indie teams. Like it is expensive to make games. And
some figures.
We're really secretive. Oops. But like it's one of those things. I think the team did it's now very outdated due to inflation blog post of like, for someone on the team, like you're paying everyone, let's say like $5,000 as a survival rate, like how much it would cost in several years of production, and then factoring everything in. I think my team did an article about that years ago before hyperinflation happened. But in general, it costs so much money to make games, and I get that's why these numbers seem so inflated, but there's got to be a better way to that, even acknowledging that. Okay, there's my rant. I'll stop ranting, guys. I'm sorry. I like commandeered this.
It's going to come down to the budget stuff getting under control.
Mm-hmm.
That's pretty much what has to happen. Because until then, I think it's going to be, we see a lot of sequels, more and more licensed products now.
Remakes,
playing
and
it safe.
remasters.
Remakes, remasters.
The decade of remakes and remasters.
Yeah, that's just kind of the way it's going to be. For that. Oh, the angry video games.
Yeah, I think that's the trend. Side note, okay, do you guys remember this like Flash cartoon that was made by this company called The Legendary Frog? Do you guys know that? It was on Newgrounds.
No.
Anyways,
I know a lot of them, but
they made fun of like going into like a GameStop and like all the games that were just like remakes of like, the remake of the remaster of the remake. And that was like in the early 2000s. And I remember laughing at it being like, that's ridiculous. And now I'm like, oh no, that's real life now. They predicted it. They had foresight. Okay, that's my note about that.
Do I know what the $1 billion Sony game is? No. I'm saying the way budgets are going right now, I don't think that Concord $400 million budget thing is that out of the question. And I kind of feel like we're going to hear about a game that isn't GTA 6 that exceeded $1 billion. I'm wondering if GTA 6 is even higher than that, where we hear, oh, yeah, it actually ended up being like 1.5 billion after the marketing and stuff. And it's just some obscene number, which it can handle. But then does someone else take a chance? Like, we could do that too, because our property is worth this much. And then it turns out it's not.
How much did
That's it.
Skull and Bones make? I mean, Skull and
Or
Bones
cost. That had to be ridiculous.
Gosh. Yeah, that had to cost a lot. I think they got some funding though from Singapore or something. That had to have cost a lot of money though. That was in development forever. So that's the thing. People were saying, Medallion saying quadruple A or 4A game. That's actually becoming more and more of a reality now too, which again sounds weird, but budget's got to get figured out. There's a tipping point somewhere. Maybe it's development being assisted by AI to cut down on time and development. Maybe that's the path forward. Or maybe player expectations just level off or drop. I don't know.
I feel like in a just world, seeing that drop in cost equating to cheaper games would be like, yeah, that's fine. But they'll just keep the prices and be like, oh, we dropped costs. It's like, cool. Can you stop making them 70? No.
No.
All right.
Let me go over to some of the mailbag questions over on the Spawncast Network, Patreon. You two can go over there, drop a question in, and let's see what we have here. Let's start with David, who says, with rumored mouse controls, can we assume that Switch 2 with precision mouse aiming is going to see all the shooters that skipped Switch 1? And how do you think Nintendo will take advantage of mouse controls? They say they can think of point-and-click games, RTS games, sim builder games, Mario Paint, shooters off the top of their head. How do you think Nintendo will utilize this in games? Also, there was rumors of a mouse scroll wheel on a patent. Do you think they will implement that down the line? I actually kind of wonder if the shoulder button has some sort of touch sensitivity to where you can actually just move your finger over it and it'll act like a scroll wheel personally. But anything with the mouse controls you would like to see in terms of games?
Mario Paint too.
Mario Paint 2. Okay.
And the original goes to NSO.
Christian says, if game prices do end up reaching $100, 100% the gaming industry will end up collapsing not long after, in my opinion. No question. Just wanted to drop that in there. Breaksu says, since we are oh, by the way, Christian, I think what will end up happening is most people will just play free-to-play games or just buy cheaper games.
Or just pirate. Lots.
Everyone
Tons of pirate.
should buy indie. I feel
there
like
you go.
There you go. Shovel Knight, particularly Shovel Knight.
Breaksu says, since we are predicting Nintendo, I just need one thing to be included in the new Mario Kart. Let's go crazy and have either the Wonder Flower as a power-up, giving everyone in front of you an acid trip, or have a dedicated track with the Wonder Flower in mind, in which the track morphs as you race through it.
What if all the tracks did that? You just take it and then the entire track shifts kind of like a split second.
What if they just give you a track builder with the mouse?
You can draw Mario Paint style. It just becomes a track.
Oh, okay. Hold on. We got to be careful with the drawing online. We've been through the flip note era. In
the
Nintendo.
Picarto era.
DC Fat Kid says, what would be your B tier rare franchise to be made for the modern era? May I recommend RC Pro-Am or Ivan Iron Man Stewart Super Off-Road?
Those were fun back in the day. That's kind of a genre that got left to the wayside, is like, because if you think about it, as games got bigger, a lot of genres like those kind of either died off or went in a more independent route.
Any B tier rare games?
I'm
trying to think of a
wild ones.
Second Sight.
Oh yeah.
That'd be kind of cool. Okay. Okay. Dark B Andy says, ask favorite type of cheese you like to have on grilled cheese. Basic. I just go with American.
Really?
Yeah, I'm pretty standard with that.
I'm cheddar with my grilled cheese.
Goat with cranberry.
Oh, that's so good.
Wow. Okay. Varang says, if game prices go up dramatically, do you think people will start buying less games, or will the price not matter if the game is popular enough?
100% people buy less.
Yeah.
I mean,
if it's popular enough, they'll figure it out. But yeah, I think there'll be less chances taken, I'll say, on especially new IPs.
the crowd,
Yeah.
the crowd I think that doesn't shift is I bought this console so I can play Madden every year crowd. Like those are the ones that won't care.
Buy like 2 games a year and that's it. And they're fine with it. Yeah, you're right.
Yeah.
Joe asks, what would it take for Square Enix or Acquire to assist in a true Super Mario RPG sequel? Do we know how well the remake did? Modern Geno would be a shoo-in for the next Smash.
We could get a Mario RPG sequel, but it wouldn't be made by Square.
That'd be pretty cool to see done, just in general. I mean, I guess we got more brothership technically, but yeah,
So
kind of cool.
2.1. Oh no, that's the remake.
The remake for it, yeah.
No, the original. The original.
Got
it. So cumulatively, this is December 31st, 2023. It sold the remake sold 3.14 million.
Oh my gosh, yeah, that's that they made good money off that, so I assume something else is probably going to happen with it then.
Please.
Yeah. Kale says, what are some Xbox back compat games you would recommend? Original Xbox or just any of them?
I would assume any of them.
I'm thinking of one right now. I just need to make sure it works on Xbox Series. Here we go.
Super rare $500 ones.
I'll recommend Black on the Xbox Series X.
I would like to recommend Blinks. It's the only Xbox game I know.
What about that sequel?
Oh yeah, I learned about
2.
that last time. I haven't played it personally, but I'll add it to my list.
I heard it's not great.
It's the Blinks killer.
I'm gonna go with Black College Football: The Experience.
Okay.
I'm looking through a list of games, and that one kind of stuck out to me.
Vegeta asks, it seems that Xbox starting to gain their momentum. Do you think with how PlayStation is performing, if Xbox remained with exclusivity on their games, how would this gen have looked? How much would Xbox have caught up to PlayStation? I don't know. I feel like there's a brand issue with Xbox currently. And that's
It's radioactive at this point, yeah.
I don't know. It's tough to figure that aspect out because, I mean, Sean's right. He said earlier in the show, PlayStation just keeps selling. And it's just because of the brand. It really helps it.
I mean, Xbox had that year of, we want to force you to have a camera in your house. We want to take your information and sell it to advertisers based on things you say and do in front of your Xbox. And everyone was just like, no, don't want. Kind of hurts your brand a little bit.
Also, I think some of these games being in the state they are now that we're seeing them probably does help that they're like, we're also going to sell it on PlayStation. So, we'll spend a little more money on this development. Game Bro asked, John, are you going to review the Miu Mini Flip?
I think I have that. I think that just came in for me.
I see it. Maybe we'll see. I mean, it has the dual analog sticks at the bottom. I see it now. I'll see. Maybe I'll just do like a lazy Saturday on that video or something.
Lazy? Oh, John. Hold on. Let me see what's in the box that I just got in. Hold on.
What's in the box? I missed that series too. Let me go over to the super chats as we wind down here, as I need to get reset and then do direct Xbox in a bit. Let's see. This is from. There we go. Epic Dreamer says things are getting too high priced for exclusives. Kind of is. That's why you see Sony even on PC right now. Getting tough. Victor says, can you talk about the new trailer of Phantom Blade Zero? It's basically Metal Gear Revengeance 2. That gameplay looks so smooth and elaborate. I think the thing that caught me is the boss that they showed looked like super unique, where they turned into like a marionette and you were fighting against them. It does look smooth, some of the combat. I still need to see that in person though and actually see how it plays, because at times the animation looks a little too good. So it's
see the long form. Editing that together, I just kept seeing the same counter over and over and over again. I was like, uh-oh.
It looks solid though, man. I'm interested. That is on my radar. It definitely is. Derek says big budget, so CEO and C-suites can make more money. Well,
It is.
there
the
it is.
flip.
Sean's got it. A yacht club has got to buy its yachts. Burst Machine says Mario Kart 9, Metroid Prime 4, Ninja Gaiden 4, and hopefully GTA 6 and Virtua Fighter. 2025 is the year of return for those who have been waiting for over a decade. Straw Hat Gaming says, why would Xbox go exclusive when 90% of people buy a PlayStation or Xbox and go straight to Fortnite or some other free-to-play games and don't buy exclusives? It's free-to-play games. Hard to compete with them when the price tag is $0. Vampire Slayer says $100 for a game means I buy less games a year. I already don't buy that many games. Now I would be purchasing even less. Seems like a terrible idea if you're a developer. I say let them crash if that's how it's going to be. Necro Banana says all down, total industry.
Burn all down.
No.
Burn all down.
Unless you're only, I like having all my friends have jobs. Just, make things better.
Or says, what's the difference between games selling for $60-$90 in the 90s compared to spending $60 to $70 now?
Eggs are $12 right now. Okay. That's the fucking difference.
Language.
Sorry.
Omar says Shovel Knight Treasure Trove was a Switch launch title. So how about Mina the Howler as a Switch 2 launch title?
That's a great idea, Omar. If you have any questions about our games, reach out on Twitter or reach out to media.
Like PR mode immediately. That was
Activate the rumor mill.
Can't wait. Allegedly. A developer breathes and the game's coming out.
Oh, I mean, Mina the Howler be all the headlines.
I know, Holler. I can see her in lights.
Oh.
Please buy our games, though, and thank you for the support. I really appreciate it. She's deep in development right now, but once we have more announcements, I'll be sure to get to you.
Hey, she'll be here telling you all about it.
Yeah. Like literally, I will plug it anytime I can.
Hey, you should have a little. You should put something in your background or something so it just says Mina the Howler all times here in the.
Yeah, and just like flashes, you're like announcements. Yeah. It's like Mina the Hollower, Mina the Hollower.
Put a countdown clock in your background that makes no sense to anything. See what happens.
Oh my gosh!
If you have like promotional poster or something, put it on your wall right here before the show, and it's just always in your little square.
I need to, because I have on my wall of things, I have my N64 / Banjo Kazooie shrine, and then licensed Shovel Knight stuff. But I do have a Mina plush that that's not on the market yet. Maybe I can hide it somewhere and subliminally be wishlist Mina on Steam. Please, seriously, please do it. Okay.
Get a whiteboard and just write stuff on it in the background.
I know, or we'll have a flash.
That's got to be a whiteboard, John.
Around the horn. Oh, sorry.
Because we're not in middle school anymore with the blackboards.
Well, that's everything. Oh, wait. Necro Banana says, I apologize, Celia. I got caught up in the moment, but I want to see it reborn like a phoenix. No phoenix emoji.
It is all good.
Well, let me go around here as we finish up. Celia, where can everyone find you?
You can find me on Game and Talk. We, Sean and Nate and Josie and I are on a podcast and we talk about Nintendo stuff. We do our lives on Wednesdays occasionally, but you can also find me on Twitter. I'm at Celia B with 3 E's. And work-wise, you can find me at Yacht Club Games on everything. We have consistent branding. If you're looking for a cool concert, next month, the Shovel Knight concert's going to be in New York. I'm plugging everything. I'm sorry, guys. It's going to be in New York on February 22nd in New York City at the Town Hall. Go to Shovel Knight concert for more details. But also, if you're in LA, we moved the concert to March 30th because of the fires. So come to that show. It'll be really fun. I'll be at both because I have to be there. And it's going to be really cool.
We go over to Sean.
Find me on RGT85. Thank you for coming by the show today.
All right.
And let's go over to Evan.
You can find me at Kimmerix Project on YouTube if you're into tabletop games, hobby stuff, streaming, just random painting, hanging out. You can check that out. Be good.
Okay. So everything here for us. Spawncast in an hour and a half, 9:30 p.m. Eastern. Nate makes his return on Direct Xbox, so come by the Spawncast channel to check that out. Should be a lot of fun. We're going to be talking a lot about, I guess, just everything that happened with Nate for the past couple weeks with the Switch 2 stuff. I'm sure will come up, but just in general. And then we'll be talking about Microsoft and Xbox's 2025 because there's still some stuff that has not been announced, and I think they're going to have a pretty big year. So it should be a lot of fun. And we'll see you guys next Friday night, 6 p.m. Eastern time.
Bye.